Essentials of research design and process. Evaluation of qualitative study. Researchers need to evaluate qualitative studies to establish their scientific merit before using their findings. According to Blaikie et al., dependability, credibility, and transferability are the major factors that researchers consider when evaluating qualitative studies. The first factor, dependability, is the ability of a research instrument, procedure, or process to provide consistent results under the same settings of a study. Willis states an important feature of qualitative study is the consistency of data collected, which is dependent on the reliability of a research instrument and procedures of a qualitative study. For instance, in measuring intelligence quotient, the instrument and procedures of data collection must be dependable. Credibility is a second factor that enhances the validity of findings in a qualitative study. Blaikie et al. Argue that the credibility test of a study measures a given variable and eliminates confounding variables. For example, a study that assesses intelligence quotient must be accurate. Transferability is a third factor that examines the ability of a study to offer a rich description of participants and the environment under which the study occurs. For example, a study that measures intelligence quotient must describe the participants in terms of gender, age, and location to enhance the generalization of the findings. Research design. The type of research design that one uses in a study is dependent on several factors that are inherent in the study. Firstly, the nature of the data is a factor that determines a research design. One can choose a qualitative design, a quantitative research design, or a mixed research design if the nature of the data is qualitative, quantitative, or both respectively. Secondly, the participants or subjects of a study determine the type of research design. Due to ethical reasons, researchers use non-experimental designs in a study that involves people and use experimental designs in studies that involve objects and animals. Hence, in eye surgery, a non-experimental research design like a case study is appropriate because ethics reduce the feasibility of experimental studies of humans. The availability of resources dictates the type of design that researchers use. Hence, in the case of eye surgery, a well-equipped laboratory and ophthalmologist are critical resources. Critical elements of the research process. Identifying broad area of inquiry. Identification of the broad area of inquiry is important in research because it provides a background of the research problem. Allyn argues that an area of inquiry should examine an issue from diverse disciplines for it to be broad. The diversity of disciplines gives an unbiased view of a research problem. According to Hoban, a broad area of inquiry contextualizes a research issue and thus enhances readers' understanding of the importance of a certain study. Identification of the broad area of inquiry is relevant among researchers because it provides diverse views and sets the foundation of a research problem. Hence, researchers should identify a broad area of inquiry by examining an issue from diverse perspectives and contextualizing an inquiry in the appropriate field of study. Identifying a researchable problem, literature review. Conducting a review of literature is very important in research because it provides the basis of research. By conducting an extensive review of available literature, researchers gain an in-depth understanding of an issue they are studying. Understanding the issue is imperative because it enables researchers to formulate relevant questions and hypotheses. Without a literature review, researchers can duplicate studies of other people because they do not understand the current state of an issue that they are struggling to study. Thus, a review of the literature enables researchers to be in tandem with the current issues in a given field of study. A review of the literature plays a significant role in the identification of a research problem. A review of literature review prepares the foundations of a researchable problem. Turk asserts that literature progressively builds up researchable problems. This means the literature review identifies many issues and narrows them down to specific ones. Literature review enables researchers to understand the depth and breadth of previous studies, and consequently aids in the identification of gaps and formulation of a researchable problem. Thus, researchers should structure a literature review in a manner that defines a problem and leads to a researchable problem. Describing a study purpose. Description of the research purpose is very important in research because it guides and directs readers in the research process. Blaikie argues that the purpose of a study guides researchers in the process of formulating questions and hypotheses, which are the pillars of a study. A study should have a specific purpose for it to provide effective answers to the research questions. Babbie states that the purpose of a study underpins the scope of research and thus delineates what a study entails. Therefore, researchers should state the purpose of the study so that they can not only formulate appropriate questions and hypotheses but also define the scope of the study. Method in research design. During data collection, methodology is a critical aspect as it determines the validity of data. Kumar states that methodology provides procedures and processes, which researchers follow and arrive at the intended findings. In essence, the method of a given study is constant and independent of the influence of researchers. This implies that methodology determines the validity and reliability of a study as it sets procedures and processes for conducting research. As an important part of methodology, research design outlines procedures and processes of data collection and analysis in detail. Research design defines the type of study, describes variables, and specifies the collection and analysis of data. Hence, method and research design are the heart of a scientific study, for they determine the findings. Population and sampling. Population and sampling are inseparable elements of the research process, which influence the validity of findings. Population is a group of people, animals, or objects that a study seeks to examine. The target population and sample population are the types of populations that a study needs. While researchers apply their findings to the target population, the sample population comprises subjects or participants who undergo the research process. To obtain a sample population, researchers identify the target population and select a sample population for purposes of research. Sampling is a process of selecting participants or objects to represent the target population. Probability sampling methods are applicable in the sampling process since they provide a representative sample population. Collecting data. The process of gathering data from the study participants or objects of study through observation, interviews, surveys, or measurements constitutes data collection. To enhance the validity of the findings, researchers should follow the data collection procedure thoroughly. The thoroughness of data collection is essential because a minor error could have a significant impact on the findings, thus making them invalid. Christensen, Johnson, and Turner argue that data collection is prone to the biases of the researchers. This implies that researchers should apply scientific procedures in data collection and prevent their biases from interfering with the accuracy of data collected.